So, when everybody else is fawning over the newly announced A7 IV, the Sony full-frame camera, I decided to get the Sony A7 IV used for half the price. I've had the Sony A6700 for a little bit over a year now, and I've been wanting to upgrade for quite a while to full frame. Not because the A6700 isn't a capable camera, it's a really good hybrid camera, but it has this crop sensor. Since I do a lot of wildlife photography, I wanted the full frame sensor because it has better low light performance. There's a few more megapixels. The A6700 has like 26 megapixels and the A7 IV has 33. So that's 7 more? No. 26. 4 plus 3. 7 more megapixels. Which isn't like the biggest difference in the world, but I think it's a big enough difference for me to notice. I love oatmeal so much. So this is just oatmeal and applesauce and milk. Maybe I should have put mukbang in the title. The newly announced A7 V is of course a big upgrade to the A7 IV in many ways. It has pre-capture, which means when you're focusing, it continuously takes photos without you pressing the shutter button. So when you press the shutter button, it saves the last second before you press the shutter button, which is perfect if you're photographing wildlife. It also has 30 frames per second. The A7 IV has 10 frames per second. So that's a big difference too. So I don't have that in my newly acquired A7 IV, but that's all right. In Sweden we have this saying, det man inte vet har man inte ont av. What you don't know, you don't suffer from. In this case, what I haven't tried, I won't suffer from. Then again, my photographer friend Emil is gonna get the A7 V, so I will be painfully aware what I'm missing out on, probably. So there's quite a lot of things that are big and great and new with the A7 V, and with that comes a certain price. In the US, it's $2,900 reduce, and it's not $2,900 reduce in Sweden, it's the equivalence of $3,500. Stop! Hello, it's me from 2 months into the future. So I had a whole segment here about prices, and I pulled all of those numbers out of my ass. So I've done some calculations here. In the US, the Sony A7 IV brand new is $2,000. That is, according to my understanding, excluding taxes. In Sweden, the A7 IV brand new is 26,000 crowns, which is in US dollars 2,900. So it seems like it's quite a bit more expensive in Sweden, 45% more expensive to be clear. But Swedish prices is always with taxes included. We have a sales tax of like 25%. So it's 45% more expensive. But if we subtract the sales tax, we end up with equivalent 2,300 US dollars, which is still 15% more expensive in Sweden, but it's not the same difference as I thought originally. Looking at the Sony A7 V instead, the US price is 2,900, the Swedish price is 3,900. Remember, 25% moms. If we subtract all that, we end up with 3,100 US dollars. So that's only 7% more expensive than the US price when you compare the non-sales tax prices. The thing is also that I bought a used Sony A7 IV on a Black Friday deal from a retailer. So it was in pristine condition, it's like new, and it only had around, it was somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 on the shutter count, which is nothing. And I bought it for 1,870 US dollars, removing the sales tax, which was included in the original price. We end up with around 1,500 US dollars. That is 25% less expensive than a brand new A7 IV in the US, and it's actually 35% less expensive than a Sony A7 IV in Sweden, brand new. So, what a goddamn deal! Alright, back to the video. And I got a used A7 IV from a retailer on a Black Friday deal. So I got it for a really good price. In Sweden it's less than half the price of the A7 V, which led to me being able to get 2 full-frame lenses, used too of course. But I have been sitting here eating breakfast for long enough, so let's get where we're supposed to go. All right, we're outside. As you can see, it's a very gloomy day. It's very gray, overcast. We haven't seen the sun here in this part of Sweden for several weeks by now. It's the middle of December. Thought I was gonna show you my new camera. So this is my used A7IV, and this lens came yesterday. It's the Sigma 24-70 DGDN Art. Anyway, my plan today is to try to take some really like eerie atmospheric photos, like take advantage of this dark gloomy day. So I'm gonna start today's adventure by a stream in the woods, which I'm gonna follow, because I think maybe water which is moving a little bit, we could take some cool photos of that. First picture can be showing you what my video setup looks like today. So that's the Sony A6700 with the Sigma 18-50. All right, let's get going. I'm very close to a can't sit here. I'm very close to a neighborhood where people live, so I'm a little embarrassed. I think someone's gonna show up any second. Let's go. All right, we made it to the stream. As you just witnessed, I almost fell in, but worth the shot, I guess. So it's super dark in here. Luckily, this is a f2.8 lens and it's full frame. It's more light sensitive than the crop sensor on my A6700, so I'm hoping I will be able to get quite nice photos with not too much noise. I feel like I have so much gear on me. I do. I have this backpack. I had to work on the mic placement here because there's so much going on my chest right now. I think it's time to take some pictures. All right, there we go. Immediately just turning around, I think this tree looks kind of nice. Let's see what we can. All right, let's get going. You know, these overcast days are kind of beautiful in their own way. Can we get some separation from the background here, maybe? Sure can. Oh, I found a spot where someone lives. Little mouse, maybe? It's sharp enough. Something that's a bit ironic with this A7IV is, you know, cameras have firmware. It's like, yeah, the software in the camera. Sometimes the manufacturer, like Sony in this case, they update the firmware for you to download and install. And so a few days before I bought this, Sony released a new firmware update for the A7IV. The thing is, the same day as I was gonna update it, Sony pulled the firmware from their website, so no one could download it anymore, because it turned out it had like bricked people's cameras, so they couldn't use them anymore, and they had to send them in for repair and stuff, and they actually had to swap out hardware in the camera, like the equivalence of a motherboard, kind of. That's what I read anyway. Yeah, so I'm rocking an A7IV with a firmware from like, I guess 2023 maybe. And just know it's not very new. The thing with this lens is it's very good up close. Or it has a very short minimum focus distance of like 18 centimeters. The minimum focus distance it's not measured from the lens, the front element, to the subject. It's measured from this icon, because this means this is where the sensor is at. So it's 18 centimeters from there, so you can get really close to the glass with your subject, especially when you're zoomed in, because I think it is like almost 18 centimeters. Yeah, anyway, so the firmware. You can't download older firmwares either, so you're stuck with the one you got until they release the newest one. And I even checked for if people had the older firmwares downloaded that they could like share, but I haven't found anything. Oh, that's a little tree. I am actually colorblind. I've always thought of it as seeing colors less saturated than what it is for other people. So less intense, I guess. I know that's not it, but it's just the way I've been thinking about it. It's more like mixing different colors together. When I was a child, I thought the lawn was red and stuff like that. And I always, when we were drawing like a map of Europe or a country or something, I always drew or colored in the sea as purple, because I couldn't see the difference between blue and purple. Yeah, so my point is, I'm colorblind, but I can still really appreciate this, the moss here on the ground. It's very green, at least in my eyes, so it really pops in my eyes. And I guess I will try to edit my pictures from today in a way that makes the greens really pop. I think the editing part is one of the more challenging things when you are colorblind. This part is so much darker and looks in that eerie way. Can we walk here? Or am I gonna get super wet? It doesn't matter, I have really good boots. Oh my god. Oof. So it splits in two here. Yeah, I think we can get some nice pictures today. Oh. I know beginners kind of have a tendency to overuse the larger aperture. So you know, this is a 2.8 lens, and today I'm probably gonna use it almost exclusively in 2.8 because it's so dark, so I need that large aperture to let in as much light as possible to avoid a higher ISO, which produces more noise in the image. What if we try half a second handheld? Not a super cool effect, but actually sharper than I expected. Okay, so we're not gonna be able to cross this stream here. Be a cool image. All right, back to the eerie stuff and the greenery. Speaking of greenery. Let's try to get closer to this waterfall. It's not a waterfall, but you know what I mean. It's moving water. Another hole where someone lives, probably. Yeah, that's a cool image. You see, that's how close I actually get. Oof, there's a lot of green here. Let's capture this small mushroom. So small. Let's see if we can. I'll almost only take portrait photos. So I need to take some landscape oriented photos too. Then again, it's kind of the path I want to get. Let's get some of this moss. Is that sharp? Sharp enough? Look. Kind of nice. I think if we go that way, we will get out to the gravel road. And that's not eerie or gloomy. The forest is eerie and gloomy. So let's go back into the forest. We're not really in a position to cross the stream anytime soon, it seems. That's fine. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say about, related to my last video. I was attacked by deer flies. And that was in the middle of October, so it hadn't gotten very cold yet. There hadn't been any freezing temperatures yet, so the deer flies were all alive and well, thriving. But today, there's not an insect in sight, which I am very thankful for. I think that's the worst part about nature in general. All the bugs and insects crawling on you, and mosquitoes and ticks. At least this year I actually went and got vaccinated for, well, in Swedish it's TBE. I don't really know what that is in English, but it's like brain inflammation disease, maybe. I'll just put it on the screen. Yeah, so the ticks, well, they still carry, is it Lyme disease, which you can't vaccinate against, but at least I don't have to. Like, I had a colleague at work who told me she had been on sick leave for like, was it like 4 years or something? Because she got this TBE and like had to learn how to walk and everything again. Because that's what the ticks do to you, I guess. This is quite amazing. I'm taking pictures at 1/30th of a second, and they turn out definitely sharp enough. Ooh, wonder who lives here. It's probably a fox or a badger, I guess. Ooh, it's definitely... Is it badgers? Because there's a lot of... They're connected, you know. Wow, this is awesome. Maybe to the spring I have this hide where I can, hide and wait for the badgers to wake up. Or the foxes, I don't know. I've read about this. They usually, if it's badgers, I think, they usually have a toilet quite close to where they live. So we should be able to... Oh, look at this. I'm guessing badgers. This is super cool. I've never found something like this before. Just walking about like this. You know what? One of my biggest inspirations for making these kinds of videos is a Swedish guy named Olle Nilsson. He does this really cinematic and nice point of view videos when he's out in nature. So that's probably pretty much why I'm doing these videos, because I got so inspired watching him. And I know he's got a short video on YouTube, you know, the shorts, which is vertical, where he's out in this kind of weather. Maybe it's freezing, but there's no snow and stuff, but he's in the woods. It's really dark, this kind of gloomy, eerie feeling. And he finds this stream and he takes exactly this picture, which I'm gonna take now. I don't know if I can get up now. Oh, I could. Oh, that's good. Oh my god. Okay, so I carefully followed or went in the direction of the sound of branches breaking, but I haven't seen anything and haven't really heard anything more either. It could just as well have been a human, of course, because it's not like we're in the wilderness or anything. I have walked from home, so it's not very far. So anyway, I was thinking, let's start heading back home. I'm still gonna take some pictures, and I think we want some of that cinematic stuff, you know? Filming with the A6700. See ya! Alright, so we're pretty much back where we started today. I'm soon back out on the gravel road and a few minutes away from home. So that was my first little photo adventure with the A7IV, and I'm really happy with this purchase and this upgrade. What do you think about the A6700 and aps-c crop sensor camera versus a full frame A7IV or even the A7V? What camera do you have right now? What do you use for your photography and your videography too? Please comment below. Thanks for today. It's a nice adventure. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, bye for now.